Hello everyone, to the grammar for Unit 16. Okay, it's super easy. We've seen this. We're going to be talking about conditionals. I hope you guys remember them. If not, don't worry. We're going to look at 4 types of conditionals. Type 0, the first conditional, the second conditional, and the third conditional. That would be the last one. So 0, first, second, and third. Okay? To make it easier for you, I highlighted all of the if clauses in green and the main clauses in yellow. Your main clause is your result. Here's an example. Let's say you have, if I don't study, I will fail. That's your conditional, right? Your conditional sentence. If I don't study, that's your if clause. The part with if, I will fail, is your result clause, your main clause, okay? Now that you know that, keep that in mind. If clause in green, main clause in yellow. Let's talk about the first one we're going to see, the first conditional. It's 0 conditional. When do we use it? When we're speaking of general truths, okay? And in this conditional, in the 0 conditional, if and when mean the same thing. If, the word if, and the word when have the same meaning. Here's your grammar structure, and your if clause is going to be in the present. Your main clause is also going to be in the present, your result. If that is still not enough for you, here it is in blue. I highlighted it in blue. If you need all of the little grammar structure, all of the formula, okay? So go ahead and pause whenever I'm explaining if you need to write it down. Here's an example of the 0 conditional. Remember, when something is generally true. If I drive fast, I burn more gasoline. Okay? Present, drive. Burn, present. So present and present in both clauses. Another one, when I eat too much, I feel sick. Eat, present. Feel, present. Present in both. Don't forget, 0 conditional, present in both. We can also change the place of the main clause over here, and the first clause, the if clause last. Here's an example. In this one, your result goes first. I feel sick when I eat too much. And it means exactly the same thing. This is also correct. The only thing that's different is if you put your main clause or your result first, we do not add a comma. Okay? If you add it in the end, if you add your result clause in the end, we need a comma. You can pause it if you need to write down the formula, okay? And if you don't, let's continue. We saw 0 conditional. Now, first conditional. To describe a real possibility. Okay, this is a grammar structure. In your if clause, you need the present. In your main clause, you need the future with will. Again, here is all of your grammar structure if you need it, your formula. Here are some examples. The first one, if I sleep early tonight, I will feel energized in the morning. Sleep, present. I will feel, future, right? First conditional, remember. Present, and then the future. I will feel energized if I sleep early tonight. You can switch it. Main clause first, then the if clause later. The last example, if I do all my work for English, I will surely pass. I know you will. I know you will. You can do it. If clause goes first, if clause in the present, do, main clause or your result clause with will. Okay, and then whatever verb you need. You can pause it if you need to write down your grammar structure, your formula. In the first conditional, we can also use the imperative. Teacher, what's the imperative? The imperative is when you give orders, when you give someone an order. For example, if I tell you, sit down, that's the imperative. I'm not saying, you sit down, or Juanito, sit down. I'm not being specific. I'm using the imperative, giving the an order. Sit down. Stand up. Close the window. Pass me your homework. That's the imperative. Okay? We can also use that in the first conditional. Here are some examples. Eat your vegetables, or I will make you eat them. Here is your if clause, but with the imperative. And your result clause. Here's another one. Get a 10 in English this month, and I will buy you a cake. We use the imperative for offers, promises, or threats. Okay? If you're trying to threaten someone, you can also use the first conditional with imperative. For example, touch me again, and I'll kick your butt. I don't know, something like that. Just remember, present, and then your main clause, future. Here's a little note. Remember how in the zero conditional, if means exactly the same thing as when. If you say, if I drive fast, I burn more gasoline. When I drive fast, I burn more gasoline, right? They mean the same thing. In the first conditional, it does not mean the same thing. They have two different meanings. Look, here's an example. If my sister leaves, I will feel lonely. In this example, the speaker thinks his sister will leave. And if we use when my sister leaves, I'll feel lonely. In this example, the speaker knows his sister will leave. He is 100% sure. Okay? Just keep that in mind. What else? What else? Next, the third one, second conditional. It's used for imaginary possibilities, and we are sure are impossible or very improbable. So imaginary possibilities which seem impossible. Here's the grammar structure. Your if clause, I forgot to highlight this. Your if clause is in the past tense. Your main clause or your result needs to be with would. Here's all of your formula. Here's some examples. If you left now, I would feel sad. Left, past of leave. So your if clause, past. I would feel sad. Your result, would, plus any verb in its base form. If you ate my sushi, I would cry. Here's another example. If you put this first, I would feel sad if you left now. Completely correct. Just remember we don't add a comma. Next, I'd buy a new car if you gave me some money. Gave, past. This is the if clause. I'd buy a new car, main clause, and would. I would buy a new car. Simple. Here's a note for the second conditional. We use if I were you to give advice or warnings. Here's an example. If I were you, I wouldn't buy that car. If I were you, I would do all of my homework. And in the second conditional sentences, we usually say I were instead of I was. So try not to use If I was you, I wouldn't buy that car. We usually use were, if I were you. And last conditional we'll be looking at, the third conditional, used for an imaginary possibility in the past, which we know to be impossible. Again, your if clause needs past perfect, so that means had plus a verb in past participle. Your main clause needs would plus have plus a verb in past participle. Don't forget. You can write that down, or if you want everything, it's right here. Here are some examples. If I had given one more class to my students, I would have played Jeopardy with them. It's imaginary. It was an imaginary possibility in the past. It didn't happen. I didn't play with you guys. But here we go. Had, given. Had plus past participle in your if clause. In your main clause, would, have, and played. So would have and then a verb in past participle. Don't forget. And if we put the main clause first, or your result clause first, I would have been rich if I had gotten the idea of streaming movies. I'm not rich. That would be all, guys. I hope this was super simple for you. If you need help, please let me know. I'm available, remember, from 9:30 to 12. In case you need help with this topic, I will gladly help you, and you can send me a private message on WhatsApp. Good luck, guys. Time to go to Socrative and try your exercises now.